So today we are talking about something completely different. Let me unhook this. Let me show you. Wait for it. Here we go. We have finally got some side cutters or cable cutters later on in another tool for your cutting needs. Now, a lot of you have been mentioning things like, is there a tool out there to cut zip ties or wires or other things? And yes, there are. So I've got 3 different tools I want to show you today, and this is the first one. So this is the Sheffield. This one comes in around $34 on Amazon. So you can jump right now, buy all 3 of these tools in the links underneath the video. They're all available, which is not something we see all the time because I do review a lot of the tools that aren't made anymore because they're very unique, but all these are made, still made at this moment. This one right here, very unique cutting head. We don't see this on hardly any multi-tool out there. We have in the past, but not in the present very much. So this Sheffield is available. So we've got that cutting head right there. And then we do also have the needle nose plier head as well. Now the needle nose plier head begins to show some of the shortcomings of this tool because you have to press on this really hard. This one right here, we got to get this out of the way, this latch. You have to press on this really hard to get it to close if you want precise use with this tool, unfortunately. Now, when we bring a little bit closer, we see there are some crimping edges and then a wire cutting section at the bottom. Why is that? I don't know, because you have these very nice cutters here that seem to work pretty good. So not sure why they have the wire cutters there, but they do. Now, I have to say I like some of these old-fashioned touches. It does look like these are meant to look like rosewood handles. I sort of like that. I know a lot of you don't. So that's something that comes down to taste. Now, when we look at the plier handles right here, we get an unpleasant surprise. So these look like they have been picked out of the bargain bin. Right away, what I notice is something that looks like a fish scaler. Why would you put a fish scaler on a tool with cable cutters or side cutters? I don't know, but they have. There's also this file right here. Could we say this is a drywall saw? I don't know. It doesn't quite look like it, but maybe you could stretch it, give it that option. We do have this, which makes a lot more sense. I can see this being used by electricians to maybe grab hold of a wire, use that. We do have a Phillips screwdriver, maybe okay. We have what must be a can opener, doesn't look that great. Now we go to the other side. Does it get any better? Not really. If anything, it probably gets worse. None of these are locking. We've got a knife that looks very, very generic. Probably can only cut you once or twice before getting dull. Then we have this all of sorts. We do have this bottle cap lifter and some screwdrivers as well. So I feel like the inside tools really let you down. Unfortunately, it has some really good or a really good option with this cutter head at the top, but unfortunately the other tools, not that much a fan of. So I went ahead and put the Sheffield multi-tool on the scales. It does come in at 210 grams or 7.4 ounces. Now, a little bit about the history of Sheffield. Why don't I like Sheffield? Well, it used to be definitely connected with quality tools. So you will find on eBay some of the most expensive pocket tools that have tools with them. So multi-tools, but think Victorinox in the 1800s, 1900s, things like that. Those are extremely expensive, extremely rare, very hard to find in good condition, and they can command well over $100, $200, $300. So those Sheffields are really, really good. But at some point, Sheffield got shipped overseas, and the quality has become synonymous with essentially bargain bin tools and not always bargain bin quality, or worse than bargain bin quality. So this head does seem to cut fairly well, this wire. It does seem to cut zip ties fairly well. So we don't have any issues there. This is a solid wire, does cut through that as well. The handles don't seem extremely uncomfortable. This side is actually fairly comfortable because it is solid right there and actually fits very well in the hand. This side, unfortunately, not so comfortable because it's got tools out there that do stick out and they want to be a little bit abrasive, but not abnormally so. I don't think it's a huge issue. So where I am on this tool is the cutting head is probably worth maybe even that $30 price point, but unfortunately the inside tools are not. So it would be fantastic if you could replace these tools with better tools, but unfortunately I don't think that's an option. It does come with a pouch that you can put this in, and you can lock this into place like so, using either side head you want to. So that is an option. I think if you can get this over the other side, there we go, like that. So that's an option, but unfortunately it's not the greatest tool out there. It has very subpar tools here. I don't have super high hopes about the longevity of the plier head, so I leave it up to you. All right, so now we have one of the weirdest tools on the list. This is the Dr. Friedel's Multitool. This comes in at $29 on Amazon. Is a little overpriced, probably, definitely, maybe, depending on how you value this. So a lot of you actually like this. I think it was a lot cheaper at that time. Now it's up to $29, but it does still offer some value, even though, wait for it, it is a manicure multi-tool set. Wow, why am I even talking about it? We've got all these little tools for digging and prying and doing all kinds of beauty stuff. All these tools right here. I won't go into all this. I've done a full review on this already. We do have scissors. We do have a little file. Look at that. That looks painful. A lot of these look like torture tools to me, but why I'm talking about this is it does have this little tiny cutter here. This is something we don't usually see in the multi-tool world. We only see pliers. This right here does snip right through zip ties eventually. It's got a very small cutting head right there, but for some of you, this might be exactly the tool head, maybe not the tools down here, but the tool head you're looking for. So keep a watch out on this. It's definitely got some design cues from the Leatherman Juice. It's got a bunch of tools in here. Perhaps you could reshape, repurpose, find an option, something to use them for. But I did want to mention it because it does have that rather unique cutting head, and that might be something you're looking for, especially for very small projects. I think remote control, computer projects, electronics, all kinds of small places you need to get a very small cutting head into. This might be the tool for you. Now, one of the best options I have found is actually this 5-in-1 plier head design. What I love about this is you can very easily switch these plier heads out. It is held in place by this spring system. It is very easy to use, and the cutters work extremely well, so well that I am a little nervous it will take off a tip of my finger if I get it too close. The thing is, you can get extreme amount of leverage on this. All right, so what I wanted to mention is this also has undergone an upgrade. So this was the first version. This one right here had actually an internal spring. You can see right here that there's a spring inside. The only issue with that is that it did get rust either from the factory, laying around. Somehow it got rust or the spring broke. Something happened and the spring, it got really stiff and it didn't really want to work in the handle because you've got to have the spring to push out these not pliers, but the jaws right here of whatever tool you're using, or it will not keep up tension. So this new version actually has an external spring. I usually don't like that, but this system I do because I feel like you can see what's going on with your spring. You can see if it's broke, if it's got rust in it, and it is a little bit more repairable in the field. So I really actually prefer this cheaper system probably because I feel like you can see, you get a better handle on what's going on with your tool. All right, so we've got the cutters that are really good. So both these cutters, again, they just cut fantastic. So we have the plier head right here. We've got this scissor cutting head. We've got the crimper cutting head as well. And we've got a stripper, wire stripper cutting head. Let me take this out. Got this crimper right here. So just a fantastic set of options, all for about $20. Very, very impressed with the system. So it's time to come to some conclusions about these tools. Well, I think it's easy to say that for tiny microelectronic work, this tool actually might have some usefulness. So I'll let you decide about that. Unfortunately, the interior tools aren't that great, but this is an option if you need one that's out there. Now the Sheffield, I have very mixed feelings about it because the cutting head actually seems to work pretty good, but the rest of the tool, the inside tools right here, are just so bad that I'm not a huge fan of the whole tool. But I'll let you decide about that again. Now I think the tool with the most potential is definitely this 5-in-1. This one right here has a very different brand name right here. And again, they all have different brand names, so that doesn't really matter what it's labeled. But this design that you can find on Amazon, I really like, and I have some future plans for it as well that I'm excited about. Perhaps I'll share it with you soon. So let me know what you think. Which of these is actually the most useful for everyday work? And I'd be excited to hear from you.